My name is Naomi, and the day my daughter-in-law told me to leave her house was the day everything began to fall apart. But before I tell you how she screamed at me, pointed at the door, and told me I was no longer welcome, before I tell you about the secret I was hiding in the basement, let me take you to the moment that still makes my hands shake. It was late at night. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I stood at the top of the basement stairs, holding a small flashlight. My heart was beating so loud I thought it would wake everyone up. Below me, behind a locked wooden door, was the one thing my daughter-in-law never knew about. And if she ever found out, everything would change. Before we go any further, if you love emotional and powerful family stories like this, please subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story. Also, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to know who is here with me. Now listen carefully, because what happened next still shocks me. Earlier that same evening, my daughter-in-law stood in front of me with her arms crossed. "Pack your things," she said coldly. "This is my house now. You need to leave." Her words hit me like a slap. I had nowhere to go. No money. No family willing to take me in. And yet, she had no idea what I was hiding just beneath her feet. The basement door creaked behind me as I turned the lock. And that was when I heard her voice behind me. "What are you doing down there?" I froze. Let me go back and tell you how I got here. I am 68 years old. I raised my son alone after his father died. I worked 2 jobs, cleaned other people's houses, skipped meals, and wore the same shoes until they broke. When my son married his wife, I believed my hard days were over. She smiled in public. She hugged me when people were watching. She called me Mom when guests were around. But behind closed doors, she changed. She complained about my cooking. She said I smelled old. She told my son I was too slow and always in the way. At first, my son defended me. "Be patient," he told her. "She's my mother." But slowly, very slowly, his voice became quieter, and hers became louder. The house we lived in belonged to my late husband. I had the papers locked away, safe and hidden. But when my son lost his job, we made a decision. We moved into the house together. I thought it would bring us closer. Instead, it turned me into a guest in my own home. She changed the rules. No food in the living room. Don't touch my things. Stay out of the basement. That last rule surprised me. The basement had always been mine. That was where my husband worked. That was where our secrets lived. That was where I kept what mattered most. So I nodded and said nothing. But every night, when the house was asleep, I would go downstairs. I would unlock the door. I would check that everything was still there. Still safe. Still hidden. On the day she told me to leave, my son was not home. She waited for him to be gone. She stood in the kitchen, tapping her phone, smiling like she had already won. "You've stayed long enough," she said. "I need my space." I looked at her and whispered, "This is my home." She laughed. "Not anymore." That was when she pointed at the door. "Leave. Tonight." I felt my knees weaken. My chest hurt. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I had cried too many tears already. I slowly turned and walked toward my room. But she followed me. "And don't take anything that doesn't belong to you," she warned. I stopped walking. I turned around and looked at her. "You don't even know what belongs to me," I said softly. She rolled her eyes. "There's nothing here that's yours." She was wrong. Very wrong. That night, I waited until the house went quiet. I grabbed my flashlight. I walked toward the basement door. I unlocked it slowly. The stairs creaked as I stepped down, my heart pounding harder with every step. Behind the wooden door at the bottom of the stairs was the truth. The thing she never expected. The thing that could destroy her lies. As I reached for the handle, I heard footsteps above me. Then her voice. "What are you hiding down there, Naomi?" I turned around slowly. She was standing at the top of the stairs, staring at me. And the look in her eyes told me one thing. She was about to find out. My daughter-in-law stood at the top of the basement stairs, one hand on her hip, the other gripping the railing like she owned it. "What are you hiding down there?" she asked again, louder this time. The light above flickered, casting shadows across her face. In that moment, she did not look like family. She looked like a stranger who had already decided I was her enemy. I tightened my grip on the flashlight. My heart was beating so fast it hurt. "Nothing that concerns you," I said quietly. She laughed. A sharp, ugly laugh. "This is my house," she snapped. "Everything in it concerns me." I wanted to tell her the truth right then. I wanted to scream it. But some truths are too heavy to drop all at once. So I said nothing. I turned back toward the wooden door at the bottom of the stairs. And that made her angry. "Don't you dare ignore me," she shouted, taking one step down. The stair creaked under her foot. That sound sent a cold shiver through my body. You see, the basement was not just a basement. It was the last place where my husband still felt alive. When he was sick, before he died, he spent all his time down there. He fixed things. He wrote things. He hid things. "People don't listen to old men," he once told me. "So I leave proof." I didn't understand what he meant back then. But I understood now. "Get away from that door," my daughter-in-law said as she walked down another step. "Or I'll call the police." I turned and looked at her. "For what?" I asked. "Standing in my own house?" She smiled. A cruel smile. "For trespassing," she said. "I'll tell them you're confused. Old. Unstable." Those words cut deeper than a knife. I had carried her child. I had fed her family. I had kept quiet when she insulted me. And now she was ready to erase me. I took a deep breath. "You don't want to open that door," I said. She paused. For just 1 second, doubt crossed her face. But then her pride took over. "Oh, I really do," she said. She rushed down the remaining stairs and grabbed the door handle. "Stop!" I shouted. Too late. She yanked it open. The smell hit her first. Old paper. Dust. Metal. Memories. She stepped inside, looking around, confused. The basement light revealed shelves lined with boxes. Old files stacked neatly. A heavy steel cabinet bolted to the wall. And in the corner, a locked trunk. "What is all this?" she asked. I walked in behind her and closed the door. "This," I said softly, "is my husband's life." She scoffed. "Junk." Then she picked up a folder. And her smile disappeared. Her eyes scanned the first page. Then the second. Her face turned pale. "What is this?" she whispered. "That," I replied, "is proof." She dropped the folder like it burned her. Inside were documents. Property records. Bank statements. Old letters. Signed papers. All with names she recognized. Including hers. "You went through my things," she yelled. I shook my head. "No. You walked into mine." Her hands began to shake. "Why do you have this?" she asked. I looked at the steel cabinet. "Because your lies didn't start today," I said. "They started years ago." She backed away slowly, like she was standing near a fire. "You're lying," she said, but her voice was weak. "This doesn't mean anything." I walked over to the cabinet and placed my hand on it. "My husband was many things," I said. "Quiet. Patient. Sick." I turned and looked straight into her eyes. "But he was never foolish." She swallowed hard. "What else is in there?" she asked. I didn't answer. Instead, I unlocked the cabinet. The sound of the lock clicking open echoed through the basement. Inside were more folders. More proof. More truth. Her knees gave way, and she sat down on a chair without asking. "This can't be real," she whispered. "Oh, it's real," I said. "And it explains everything." I told her about the money that went missing years ago, about the fake signatures, about how she had convinced my son to move into this house, knowing exactly what she planned to do next. "You wanted to push me out," I said calmly. "Then sell the house." She looked up at me sharply. "You can't prove that." I reached into the cabinet and pulled out one final envelope. Her name was written on it. Her handwriting. Her face went white. Just then, we heard the front door open upstairs. My son's voice filled the house. "I'm home." She jumped to her feet. "You can't show him that," she hissed. "He won't understand." I smiled sadly. "He deserves the truth." She grabbed my arm hard. "If you ruin my marriage." I pulled away. "You already did," I said. Footsteps came closer. My son was heading toward the basement. Her eyes filled with fear. "Please," she whispered. "We can talk." The basement door handle began to turn, and I knew that when my son stepped inside, nothing would ever be the same again. The basement door opened slowly. The light from upstairs spilled down the stairs, cutting through the dust in the air. For a moment, no one spoke. The only sound was my heart beating hard inside my chest. My son stood at the doorway. He looked from me, to his wife, to the open cabinet behind us. "What's going on?" he asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were already full of questions. My daughter-in-law moved fast. Too fast. She stepped in front of me, blocking his view of the cabinet like her body alone could erase the truth. "Nothing," she said quickly. She was snooping around down here again. I told her to stay out of the basement. I opened my mouth to speak, but my son raised his hand. "Wait," he said. "Both of you. Just wait." He took one step down, then another. With every step, the tension grew heavier. "What's in the cabinet?" he asked. My daughter-in-law laughed nervously. "Old junk," she said. "Your dad's stuff. Papers that don't matter." My son walked past her and reached for one of the folders on the table. I saw her flinch. He opened it and started reading. His face changed slowly. First confusion, then surprise, then something much darker. "What is this?" he asked, his voice shaking. I stepped forward. "It's the truth," I said. He turned the page. "And another. This has our names on it," he said. "Why is your name here?" He looked at his wife. She crossed her arms. "This is fake," she snapped. "She made it up." I shook my head. "I didn't make anything," I said softly. "Your father kept records. Everything he touched. Everything he suspected." My son looked back at the cabinet. "How long have you had this?" he asked me. "Since before he died," I replied. "He made me promise not to open it unless I had no choice." My daughter-in-law's voice rose. "She's lying. She's trying to turn you against me." My son didn't answer her. Instead, he opened the envelope with her handwriting. He read the first line, then the second. His hands began to shake. "I don't understand," he said quietly. "This says you plan to sell the house." My daughter-in-law rushed toward him. "Give me that," she shouted. He pulled it away. "It says you were waiting until my mom was out," he continued. "Waiting until everything was in my name." She froze. The silence was thick. "I can explain," she whispered. I looked at my son. "I stayed quiet for your sake," I said. "I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to destroy your marriage." He looked at me, eyes full of pain. "And you let her treat you like this?" he asked. I nodded slowly. "Yes." He turned back to his wife. "Is this true?" he asked. She opened her mouth, then closed it. then spoke again. "She's twisting things," she said. "I was just trying to protect us." "From what?" he asked. She snapped. "From being poor. From living in fear. From being stuck taking care of someone who refuses to leave." Her words echoed through the basement. My son stared at her like he had never seen her before. "That someone," he said slowly, "is my mother." She shrugged. "She's old," she said. "She needs to accept reality." That was when something broke inside him. "You told me she wanted to leave," he said. "You told me she felt uncomfortable here." She said nothing. "You told me she was confused," he continued. "That she imagined things." I spoke up. "She begged me not to tell you," I said. "She said you would choose her." My son's eyes filled with tears. He looked between us, trapped in the middle of two worlds. "I trusted you," he said to his wife. She laughed bitterly. "And now you trust her?" she asked. He looked down at the papers in his hands. "I trust proof," he said. She exploded. She knocked a box off the shelf. Papers flew everywhere. "This is insane," she screamed. "You're choosing her over me?" "I'm choosing the truth," he replied. She turned to me, her face red with rage. "You planned this," she shouted. "You waited for the right moment." I shook my head. "No," I said. "You forced it." She stepped toward me. My son moved between us. "Enough," he said firmly. For the first time in years, he stood tall. He took a deep breath. "We're not leaving tonight," he said. Her eyes widened. "What?" she asked. "This house belongs to my mother," he said. "And until we figure this out, no one is going anywhere." She stared at him, shocked. "You can't do this to me," she said. He looked at her with sadness. "You already did it to yourself." She turned away, breathing hard. But before she left the basement, she looked back at me. And in her eyes, I saw something dangerous. This was not over. Not even close. That night, I lay awake in my room, staring at the ceiling. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard a soft sound. A drawer opening. Downstairs. In the basement. I sat up in bed. And my heart dropped. Because I knew. She was going back for the cabinet. I did not need to look at the clock to know it was late. The house has a sound when everyone is asleep. The walls seem to breathe. The floorboards settle. Even the silence has weight. That night, the silence felt wrong. I lay still in my bed, listening. At first, I thought I imagined it. Then I heard it again. A soft creak. Not upstairs. Downstairs. From the direction of the basement. My heart skipped. I slowly sat up, my blanket sliding to the floor. My hands were shaking before my feet even touched the ground. She was awake. And she was moving. Earlier that night, after the basement confrontation, my son had asked us both to go to our rooms. "Everyone needs to cool down," he said, rubbing his face with both hands. "We'll talk in the morning." His wife had said nothing. She just nodded, her lips pressed together, her eyes empty. That scared me more than her shouting ever did. Because when she was loud, I knew her plans. When she was quiet, she was dangerous. I stood by my bedroom door, listening. Another sound drifted up from below. A drawer sliding open. I felt my chest tighten. She was in the basement. She was trying to destroy the proof. I opened my door slowly, careful not to make a sound. The hallway was dark. My son's door was closed. He was asleep. He had cried himself to sleep earlier, sitting on the edge of his bed like a little boy again. I wanted to protect him. But I also needed to protect the truth. I stepped into the hallway and began to walk. Each step felt too loud. The stairs groaned softly under my weight. I paused, holding my breath. No sound came from above. Good. I reached the bottom and turned toward the basement door. It was open. Just a little. Light spilled out from below. My heart dropped into my stomach. As I stood at the top of the basement stairs, I heard her voice. She was talking. To herself. "This doesn't matter," she whispered angrily. "It won't hold up. None of this will hold up." I took one step down. Then another. I could hear papers rustling. Metal scraping. The cabinet. She was at the cabinet. The basement looked different at night. The shadows were deeper. The air felt colder. She was standing with her back to me, yanking folders out of the cabinet and tossing them onto the floor. "You think you won," she muttered. "You think you ruined me?" She grabbed the envelope with her handwriting and ripped it in half. Then again. And again. "No one will believe an old woman over me," she said. My chest burned. I stepped forward. "Stop." She spun around, startled. Her eyes were wild. "You," she hissed. "You should be in bed." "So should you," I replied. She laughed. "Look at you," she said. "Sneaking around like a thief." I looked at the torn papers on the floor. "You're destroying your own lies," I said. She rushed toward me. "You think this saves you?" she shouted. "Even if he believes you, what then? You think you win." I stood my ground. "I don't want to win," I said. "I just want peace." She shook her head. "You don't deserve peace," she said. "You're in the way." She bent down and grabbed a stack of documents. "These are copies," she said. "You don't know where the originals are." I swallowed. She was right. The originals were hidden somewhere else. And she knew it. Her eyes narrowed. "Where are they?" she asked. I said nothing. She stepped closer. "You think I won't find them?" she whispered. "I live here. I have time." I looked at her and felt a sudden sadness. "You never wanted a family," I said. "You wanted control." Her face twisted. "I wanted security," she snapped. "Something you never gave me." I shook my head. "I gave you a home," I said. "You tried to take my life." She raised her hand. For a moment, I thought she might hit me. Instead, she laughed again. Soft. Cold. "You know what?" she said. "I'll let you keep your little papers." She dropped the torn pieces on the floor. "Because I already took what matters." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" I asked. She smiled. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal key. The key to the steel cabinet. "I made a copy," she said proudly, "while you were playing the victim." My heart pounded. "You shouldn't have that," I said. "Oh, but I do," she replied. "And tomorrow when you're gone, I'll clean this place up properly." "Gone?" I whispered. She stepped closer, her voice low. "I'll tell him you panicked," she said. "That you took some things and left." I stared at her in horror. "You wouldn't." She smiled. "Watch me." At that moment, a voice came from the stairs. "Mom." My son stood at the top, rubbing his eyes. "What's going on?" he asked sleepily. She turned quickly, hiding the key in her fist. "Nothing," she said sweetly. "Your mother couldn't sleep." I looked at my son. "She's lying," I said. He looked between us, confused. Then his eyes fell on the torn papers. "What did you do?" he asked his wife. She shrugged. "Cleaning," she said. He stepped closer, his voice sharper now. "Why do you have the cabinet key?" Her smile disappeared. The silence stretched. And in that silence, I knew the next truth was about to explode. My son stared at the small metal key in his wife's hand. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The basement felt smaller, like the walls were slowly closing in on us. "Where did you get that?" he asked her quietly. She closed her fingers around the key. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said. But her voice betrayed her. It was tight. Shaky. I had heard that voice before. It was the same voice she used when she lied to neighbors, to friends, to even strangers on the phone. But this time, she was lying to the one person she could not afford to lose. "That's the cabinet key," my son said. I watched Mom lock it. She forced a smile. "You're tired," she said. "You're imagining things." He shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "I'm awake. For the first time in a long time." He reached out his hand. "Give it to me." She stepped back. "No." That single word hit the basement like a slap. "Why do you have it?" he asked again, louder now. She looked at me. And the hatred in her eyes was no longer hidden. "She's manipulating you," she said. "She planned all of this." I spoke softly. "I planned nothing," I said. "You walked into the truth." My son turned back to his wife. "You told me she was confused," he said. "You told me she imagined things." She crossed her arms. "She's old," she snapped. "Old people forget things." He pointed at the torn papers on the floor. "Old people don't fake handwriting," he said. "Old people don't steal keys." Her face flushed red. "I did what I had to do," she shouted. The words exploded out of her. "I was trying to protect us." "By stealing from my mother?" he asked. She laughed bitterly. "You don't get it," she said. "This house was our future." "No," he replied. "It was hers." He stepped closer to her. "Give me the key," he said again. She looked around the basement like a trapped animal. Then, suddenly, she threw the key across the room. It hit the wall and fell to the floor with a sharp clang. "There!" she shouted. "Take it. Take everything." He didn't move. "Why were you destroying the papers?" he asked. She hesitated. Then she spoke. "Because if they exist," she said, "you might believe her." He nodded slowly. "And now I do." She turned on me. "You think you've won?" she screamed. "You think this changes anything?" I looked at her calmly. "It already has," I said. She stepped toward me. "You turned my husband against me." My son stepped between us again. "No," he said firmly. "You did that yourself." For the first time, she looked afraid. Not angry. Afraid. "I gave up everything for you," she said to him, her voice cracking. "I married you. I built a life with you." "And I gave up my voice," he replied. "I let you silence my mother." The words hung heavy in the air. "I didn't see it," he continued. "I didn't want to see it." He bent down and picked up the torn pieces of the envelope. "You planned this," he said. "You waited until she was weak." She shook her head. "I was tired of living in her shadow," she said. "Tired of her controlling everything." I laughed softly. "I controlled nothing," I said. "I stayed quiet." She glared at me. "And that made it worse," she snapped. "You made me look like the villain." My son looked at her. "You didn't need help with that," he said. He took a deep breath. "We need space," he said. Her eyes widened. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said carefully, "you're not staying here tonight." She laughed. "You can't kick me out." He looked at her steadily. "This house isn't yours," he said. "And right now I don't know who you are." She stared at him, stunned. "You're choosing her," she whispered. "I'm choosing what's right," he replied. She shook her head in disbelief. "You'll regret this," she said. "Both of you." She turned and stormed up the stairs. The sound of her footsteps echoed through the house. Then the front door slammed. Silence followed. I sank into a chair, my legs weak. My son sat beside me. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I should have listened sooner." I placed my hand over his. "You're listening now," I said. He looked at the cabinet. "Is that everything?" he asked. I shook my head. No, I replied. That's only part of it. He looked at me, surprised. There's more. Yes, I said. And she knows it. Just then, my phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. I opened it. And my heart dropped. The message read, "You may have one tonight. But I still have what you hid best." I looked at my son. She took something, I whispered. He frowned. What did she take? I swallowed hard. The one thing, I said, that can change everything. My son stared at me, his eyes wide. What did she take? He asked again, slower this time, like he was afraid of the answer. I looked down at my shaking hands. 4 years, I had prepared myself for this moment. I had imagined it so many times. And still, my throat felt dry. She took the smallest thing, I said quietly. But it holds the biggest truth. He waited. So I told him. Years ago, before my husband passed, he began to notice things that did not add up. Small withdrawals from accounts. Papers moved slightly out of place. Conversations that stopped when someone entered the room. At first, he blamed his illness. Then he realized something darker. Someone close to us was planning ahead. Very far ahead. That was when he created 2 sets of records. One set stayed in the cabinet. The other, he hid differently. There are things people won't steal if they don't understand them, he once told me. What my daughter-in-law took was not money. It was not documents. It was a small black flash drive. And inside it was a video. My son stood up suddenly. A video? He asked. I nodded. He recorded everything, I said. Conversations. Phone calls. Meetings. Even her voice. My son ran his hands through his hair. And she has it now? Yes, I said. She must have found the hiding place. His face tightened. That means she knows how much trouble she's in. I nodded again. And what she's capable of. That night, neither of us slept. Every sound outside made us jump. Every passing car made my heart race. At around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Another message. You should have stayed quiet. Then another. He won't believe you without the video. My son read the messages and clenched his jaw. She's threatening you, he said. No, I replied. She's warning me. The next morning, she didn't come back. But her presence was everywhere. The kitchen drawers were open. A few papers were missing from the cabinet. One of the basement shelves had been shifted slightly. She had searched the house before leaving. She was looking for more, my son said. Yes, I replied. And she may still be. Later that day, my son received a call. He put it on speaker. Her voice filled the room. You've made a big mistake, she said calmly. Too calmly. Where is the flash drive? My son asked. She laughed. You should be asking what's on it, she said. Because once people see it, your mother won't look so innocent. My heart dropped. What do you want? My son asked. There was a pause. I want what I was promised, she said. The house. Clean and simple. My son's voice hardened. You're blackmailing us. She didn't deny it. I'm offering a deal, she said. I disappear, you keep your reputation, and she keeps her dignity. I leaned toward the phone. You already sold your dignity, I said. The line went silent. Then she spoke again, slower now. You have 3 days, she said. After that, I send copies. The call ended. My son paced the room. We have to go to the police, he said. I shook my head. She planned for that, I said. She always does. How do you know? He asked. I walked to the cabinet and pulled out a thin notebook. Your father's handwriting filled every page. She's not the first person who tried this, I said. Just the closest. My son's face went pale. You mean? She learned from someone, I finished. That evening, a neighbor knocked on the door. I didn't want to get involved, she said nervously. But I saw her loading boxes into her car last night. My son thanked her. As the door closed, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo. A picture of the flash drive. And beneath it, a message. Last warning. I felt something inside me shift. Fear, turning into resolve. She thinks I'm weak, I said. My son looked at me. Aren't you scared? He asked. I nodded. I am, I said. But I've been scared before. I straightened my back. And this time I'm ready. That night, I went back to the basement alone. I opened a hidden panel behind the old workbench. Inside was one last envelope. The final backup. The one even my husband said we should never need. I held it in my hands and whispered, I hope you're wrong. Upstairs, the phone rang. And I knew. The final battle had begun. The phone kept ringing upstairs. I stood frozen in the basement, the final envelope pressed against my chest. My husband's handwriting stared back at me, neat and careful, like he knew this moment would come. Only open if there is no other choice, he had written. I closed my eyes. We were out of choices. Upstairs, my son answered the phone. I could hear his voice echo faintly through the floor. Hello. There was a pause. Then his voice tightened. Yes, he said. She's here. My stomach twisted. He listened for a long moment, saying nothing. Then he spoke again. No, he said firmly. You don't get to threaten us anymore. The call ended. I slowly climbed the stairs, every step heavy. When I reached the living room, my son was standing near the window, staring outside. She's close, he said. What do you mean? I asked. She just told me, he replied, that if we don't agree by tonight, she'll send the video to people we know. My hands trembled. Did she say where she is? I asked. He shook his head. But she knows something we don't, he added. She knows there's a backup. I felt the air leave my lungs. How? I whispered. He looked at me carefully. Mom, he said, are you sure no one else ever knew about it? I thought back. Years back. Late nights. Quiet conversations. Then it hit me. There was one person, I said slowly. Your father trusted him. That afternoon, we drove across town. Neither of us spoke much. The road felt longer than usual. Every red light felt like a warning. We stopped in front of a small repair shop. Old tools hung in the window. The sign above the door was faded. My husband's old friend. The man who helped him fix the workbench in the basement. The man who helped him hide things. My son parked the car. Are you sure? He asked. No, I replied. But I'm afraid of being wrong. Inside the shop, the smell of oil and dust filled the air. An old man looked up from behind the counter. When he saw me, his face changed. I was wondering when you'd come, he said. My heart sank. You know, I said. He nodded. She came yesterday, he said. Asking questions. Offering money. My son clenched his fists. What did you tell her? He demanded. The old man sighed. Nothing, he said. But she knows enough to be dangerous. I swallowed. Did my husband leave anything with you? I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he reached under the counter and pulled out a small sealed bag. Inside was a copy of the flash drive. My knees nearly gave out. She doesn't have the only one, I whispered. No, he said. And she never will. Relief washed over me, but it didn't last. The old man leaned closer. She said something else, he added. Something that worried me. My son looked up. What? He asked. She said, the man continued. If I can't control them, I'll control the story. My chest tightened. She's going to twist everything, my son said. Yes, I replied. That's always been her plan. We drove home in silence again. When we arrived, there was a car parked across the street. Not hers. A stranger's. My son slowed. Do you recognize it? He asked. I shook my head. As we stepped out of the car, a woman got out of the other vehicle. She wore a neat jacket and held a notebook. Are you Naomi? She asked. Yes, I replied cautiously. I'm a journalist, she said. I received a message this morning. My heart dropped. From who? My son asked sharply. She looked down at her notes. From a woman who claims you're being manipulated, she said. She says there's a video that proves it. My son stepped in front of me. There's no story here, he said. The journalist raised an eyebrow. There will be, she replied. With or without your side. After she left, my son slammed the door shut. She's already started, he said. I sat down slowly. She thinks she's ahead, I said. But she doesn't know everything. I reached into my bag and placed the sealed copy of the flash drive on the table. My son stared at it. We can end this, he said. Yes, I replied. But once we do, there's no going back. That evening, my phone buzzed again. A final message from her. I looked at my son. Tomorrow, I said, we stop running. Outside, a shadow moved past the window. And I knew. She was closer than we thought. I did not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face at the top of the basement stairs. Smiling. Watching. Waiting. The sealed copy of the flash drive sat on the table between my son and me, like a quiet judge. Neither of us touched it. We did not need to. Just knowing it was there changed everything. She thinks she owns the truth, my son said softly. That's why she brought a journalist into this. Yes, I replied. She wants to control the story before the truth controls her. Outside, a car passed slowly, its headlights sweeping across the living room walls. I held my breath until it was gone. She's nearby, I whispered. My son nodded. She always is when she thinks she's winning. Early the next morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Her voice came through calm and smooth, like we were old friends. I see you met the journalist, she said. I said nothing. She's very interested, she continued. You should hear what she thinks of your little basement collection. My son leaned closer to the phone. You lied to her, he said. She laughed softly. I guided her, she replied. People hear what they want to hear. What do you want? I asked. There was a pause. I want you gone, she said plainly. Out of the house. Out of the story. Out of his life. My son's hand clenched. That's not happening, he said. She sighed. You always were soft, she told him. That's why I had to take control. Later that day, the journalist returned. This time, she did not knock. She waited by the sidewalk, camera bag over her shoulder. I just want your side, she said when we stepped outside. That's fair, isn't it? My son looked at me. I nodded. We'll talk, I said. But not here. Her eyes flicked toward the house. The basement, she asked lightly. My heart skipped. She already knew. We invited her inside. She sat across from us at the dining table, pen ready, eyes sharp. She says you were pushed out of your home, the journalist began. That you're hiding something illegal in the basement. My son shook his head. She's lying, he said. The journalist leaned forward. Then help me understand, she said. Why does a man record his own family? I took a deep breath. My husband didn't record his family, I said. He recorded betrayal. The journalist paused, then slowly put her pen down. That's a strong word, she said. So is theft, I replied. So is manipulation. I reached into my bag and placed the sealed copy of the flash drive on the table. Her eyes widened. You have it? She asked. A copy, my son said. Enough to prove the truth. The journalist hesitated. If this is real, she said carefully, it changes everything. I met her gaze. It already has, I said. That evening, as the journalist left, my phone buzzed again. A photo this time. It showed my front door, taken from the outside. Then another message followed. Last chance. Hand it over. My son read it and swore under his breath. She's desperate now, he said. Yes, I replied. And desperate people make mistakes. Just then, the doorbell rang. We froze. My son moved toward the door slowly. Through the peephole, he stiffened. It's her, he whispered. My heart pounded. She's not alone, he added. He opened the door. She stood there, dressed neatly, confidence back on her face. Beside her stood a man in a suit. This is my lawyer, she said. She looked past my son and straight at me. We're done playing, she said. Hand over the flash drive, or this gets very ugly. I stepped forward. You already made it ugly, I said. Her eyes narrowed. She glanced at the basement door. You still don't understand, she said. I don't need the video. The lawyer cleared his throat. She's filed a claim, he said, saying the homeowner is mentally unfit. My knees weakened. My son exploded. You can't do that. She smiled calmly. I just did, she said. By tomorrow morning, this house will be under review. I looked at her and realized something terrifying. She wasn't bluffing. She was escalating. And she was willing to destroy everything to win. As they turned to leave, she leaned closer to me. You should have stayed quiet, she whispered. I whispered back. You should have checked for backups. Her smile faltered. Just for a second. And I knew. The end was coming. The house felt different after they left. Not quiet. Heavy. Like the walls themselves were listening. My son locked the door and leaned against it, his chest rising and falling fast. She's trying to erase you, he said. That lawyer. The way he looked at you. I nodded slowly. She's not attacking the truth anymore, I said. She's attacking me. Outside, the car engine started. Tires rolled away. But I knew this was far from over. That night, I barely slept. At dawn, there was a knock at the door. Not loud. Professional. I knew before my son even looked through the peephole. 2 people stood outside. 1 man. 1 woman. Both holding folders. Adult Protective Services, the woman said calmly when the door opened. We need to speak with Naomi. My son stepped in front of me. On what grounds? He asked. The man glanced at his folder. A concern was reported, he said. About mental stability. Possible financial confusion. I felt my stomach twist. She had done it. They sat in our living room, asking careful questions. Do you know where you are? Do you manage your own finances? Do you ever feel confused? I answered everything clearly, calmly, but I could see it. They were watching me, not just listening. Waiting for me to slip. Waiting for me to look like the story she told them. My son clenched his jaw. She's trying to steal my mother's home, he said. That's what this is. The woman nodded politely. We're just here to assess, she said. I leaned forward. Then assess everything, I said. Not just me. I reached for my bag and pulled out the sealed flash drive. Their eyes fixed on it. This, I said, is why she's afraid. They hesitated. Ma'am, the man said carefully, we can't review media without. Then bring someone who can, my son interrupted. Because this changes the whole picture. The woman exchanged a glance with her partner. We'll note it, she said. But I could tell. They were unsure. That uncertainty was dangerous. An hour later, my phone rang again. Her name flashed on the screen. I answered. They're there, aren't they? She said smugly. You're desperate, I replied. No, she said. I'm efficient. She lowered her voice. They won't believe you, she said. They never do. I closed my eyes. You made one mistake, I said. You involved too many people. She laughed. People forget, she replied. Stories fade. Evidence doesn't, I said. She hung up. By afternoon, the journalist returned. This time, she didn't bring a notebook. She brought a colleague. We've been looking into the claims, she said quietly. And the timing doesn't add up. My son stood beside me. We're done hiding, he said. I handed her the flash drive. Watch it, I said. All of it. She took it carefully. If this is what you say it is, she said, she's finished. I nodded. So am I said. With being silent. That evening, my son's wife tried one last move. She came back alone. No lawyer. No confidence. Just rage. She stood in the doorway, eyes red. You're destroying my life, she said. I looked at her calmly. No, I said. I'm telling the truth. She laughed bitterly. You think people care, she snapped. You're old. I'm believable. I stepped closer. Not anymore, I said. She froze. You already lost, I continued. You just don't know it yet. She searched my face. What did you do? She whispered. I smiled. I let the truth speak for itself. She backed away slowly. Fear replaced anger. You can still stop this, she said. Before it goes public. I shook my head. It's already moving, I replied. She turned and ran. That night, my son sat beside me. I should have protected you sooner, he said. I took his hand. You did, I said. When it mattered most. Outside, sirens wailed faintly in the distance. And somewhere I knew. She was realizing that the story she tried to control was about to control her. The morning everything ended, the sun rose like it always did. Soft. Quiet. Unaware. But inside my house, nothing was the same anymore. My son and I sat at the dining table, untouched cups of tea growing cold. The sealed flash drive was gone now. No longer hidden, no longer whispered about. It was in the hands of people whose job was to listen to truth, not fear. For the first time in a long time, I felt tired in a different way. Not weak. Finished. The journalist called just after 9 a.m. Her voice was different. Careful. Serious. We watched everything, she said. My heart pounded. All of it? I asked. Yes, she replied. The recordings. The timelines. The money trail. The conversations. My son leaned closer. And? He asked. There was a pause. She lied, the journalist said plainly. And she didn't just lie to you. By noon, the story was already moving. Not online gossip. Not rumors. Facts. Documents. Voices that could not be denied. She had planned it slowly. Carefully. She thought time would protect her. She thought age would silence me. She was wrong. That afternoon, 2 cars pulled into the driveway. One was familiar. The other was not. My son opened the door. She stood there, smaller than I remembered. No sharp smile. No confidence. Just panic behind tired eyes. Behind her stood 2 officers. We need you to come with us, one of them said calmly. She turned to my son. You let this happen, she whispered. He looked at her sadly. No, he said. You did. Then she looked at me. For a moment, there was something close to regret in her eyes. But it passed quickly. This isn't over, she said weakly. I stepped forward. It is for me, I replied. The officers escorted her away. The door closed. And the house finally felt like it could breathe again. That evening, my son sat beside me on the couch. I didn't see it, he said quietly. I should have seen it. I took his hand. Love makes us blind, I said. But truth opens our eyes. He nodded. I won't make that mistake again. Weeks passed. The house stayed mine. Not because of papers. Not because of proof. But because someone finally stood up and said, enough. I returned to the basement one last time. I opened the cabinet. Not to hide anything, but to close a chapter. I touched my husband's old workbench and whispered, "You were right." Before I end this story, let me say this to you listening right now. If you've ever been told to leave a place you built, if someone tried to erase your voice because they thought you were weak, if you were asked to stay quiet to keep the peace, remember this. The truth does not expire. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful, emotional story like this. Also, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to know who is standing with me. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is finally tell the truth.